إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وعلى الصحابة أجمعين والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم بفضلك ومنك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وضلالة في النار. Indeed, all praise due to Allah, whom we praise, asking for His assistance, His forgiveness, and His guidance. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil of ourselves and from our bad deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides, nothing can misguide, and whomsoever Allah misguides, nothing can guide. I bear witness and testify that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness and testify that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Allah's slave and messenger. Brothers and sisters, the khutbah of today is one of those khutbahs that are roaming in all the masajid, almost all the masajid, everywhere, every corner in this face of earth. And I think I have given probably this khutbah once in this blessed masjid, or this beautiful community. I think I gave it once last year. But this khutbah is from the khutbah that it needs to be repeated always, because reminding each other is one of the greatest principles of Islam. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Basically, this khutbah is going to be about three things in a fast-forward mode. About the hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the current month that we are in, the month of the Muharram, and about the specific day in this month. The hijrah, the migration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina, was the greatest event ever for this ummah. The greatest event. Because this ummah transferred from weakness to power, from shrinkness to expansion or spread, and it was clear for this ummah and the Sahaba how they stood firm with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how they were sincere to their deen and to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also it was clear from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam how sincere he was in conveying the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how sincere he was in putting his trust in his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. When they were in the cave, he said to his friend, don't be afraid, don't feel sad. Allah is with us. And who was outside? Who were outside? All Quraysh. That was the trust of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also in this event, a lot of miracles given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everybody around him saw it. Like first miracle, it was that very skinny sheep of Ma'bad, that woman who she was in the desert, and he as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his friend passed by her tent, and they asked her for a milk. This story everybody knows. And also, that makes this event makes the father of Ma'bad and Ma'bad, who is Atika, her name is Atika, they were adopted Islam immediately, and we have received the most beautiful explanation, the most beautiful picture of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from head to toe in a beautiful way by Ma'bad. You know, he passed by her just a little while, but he filled her heart with love. She felt in love with him. She loved him a lot. That she could immediately notice everything for him, from his head all the way down to his toes, and gave us the best and the most beautiful explanation how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was looked like. You can go and to the internet and search for the description of Ma'bad for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Beautiful description. So, and also, like in this day, Suraqa ibn Malik, that man who followed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was from the Kuffar, and his friend, he followed them in order to tell Quraysh where they are at. But ever since he started running after them with his horse legs sank in the sand, and he couldn't get up. Until at the end, he made a promise to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's not going to tell anybody. Not only that, he's going to tell them that he went on a false road. That's why he was saved from being sunk, he and his horse in the sands. Not only this, Suraqa, he became Muslim after that. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam promised him that he's going to wear Kisra, who is the ruler of the Persia, he is going to wear Kisra's golden bracelets. And guess what? He wore them 5 years after that. He wore them after Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu broke that fire worship country or people in Ma'arakat al-Qadisiyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us also a description, explanation of this Hijrah trip. It is a great event, great Rasul, the greatest, and the greatest human being ever walked on this face of earth after the Anbiya and Rasul. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu wa ardah. رضي من رضي وغضب من غضب. Allah said, إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله إذ أخرجه الذين كفروا ثاني اثنين إذ هما في الغار إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا. So Abu Bakr was mentioned in the Quran. If ye help not him, Prophet and his companion, no matter, for Allah did indeed help him when the unbelievers drove him out. Being the second of two, they were in the cave, and he said to his companion, have no fear, for Allah is with us. So this is in a nutshell about a little bit the Hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we Muslims need to know our history better. We need to know the history of us in the right way. So inshallah I'm going to correct some of understandings almost with a lot of Muslims by giving a question. Was the Hijrah in the month of Muharram, the beginning of this year? Was it in the month of Muharram? This is the question. The answer, briefly, because of the time, no, it wasn't. It wasn't in this month. Actually, it was some 2 months after that. 2 months plus after that. All the historians, Islamic historians, all of them, in one voice, it was in Rabi' al-Awwal. But they a little bit different in the days. But the most correct saying is it was in 12 of Rabi' al-Awwal. That's the Hijrah, so we need to know this. We need to know that the Hijrah was not in the Muharram, in the first day of Muharram. That is why, brothers and sisters, the celebrations around the world, Islamic world of Hijrah and the first day of Muharram is wrong. It's not the day. This is number one. Number two, the celebration of Hijrah is not permissible. It's not advisable. The way we see in like songs and kind of movements and kind of special worships people do, this is haram. This should not be. This is bid'ah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there. He lived about 10 years after the Hijrah. The companions never celebrate the Hijrah every year. They never do that. Okay, although it's the greatest event in the Islamic state, the greatest event, but they did not celebrate. So this is one of the informations or ideas that many of the Muslims think that the Hijrah is in the Muharram while it is in Rabi' al-Awwal. Then why is Muharram is the opening of the Hijrah year? Why is that? Yes, there is a story about that. You can say it in a also fast forward more nutshell. Muslims, they have no dating. They don't date, but they used to send letters by for instance, from Umar ibn Khattab to his deputies around the Islamic State while it was spread and becoming large without dating the letters. So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said to him, well, the Furs and the Roman, when they send letters to each other or to us, there's a date in there, so why don't we make a date? So that after, in the time of Umar ibn Khattab, so in the year of 12, in the ruling of Umar, he likes this idea. But as a principle of Islam, the Mashura, he did not just say, okay, let me that day. Everybody has to do that. No. He gathered most of the Muslims and they tried to talk about it. What do you think? Is it okay to make a date or to make datings in our letters? Yes, it is. But what day should we use to be the first day of our calendar? So a lot of ideas came. Some ideas that, okay, let's take the day of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't like it. He said, well, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nobody knows exactly when he was born. Nobody knows. It's not 12 Rabi' al-Awwal for sure, not. There are 10 different sayings. If you read the history of the Seerah, 10 different sayings about when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. And there was no one collective idea or collective information about this day. Why? Normally, because when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, maybe hundreds of other kids born in that alley or in that neighborhood. Who knows who's this kid is going to be what? So nobody cares. Then, although there were no papers, no documentation, nothing, just a kid born. But all the historians are in one voice, one sound, all of them agreed upon when he died, when Rasulullah died. And that's, yes, it's a great event. It shook them all. And they know who is that who died. All of them agreed upon. So that's how it is. So Umar ibn Khattab refused that one. They said, okay, then let's make the first date of it the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, no, it's too brief. It's too sad. We don't want this. We make it very sad and we can't bear to every year remember this. So he said that, well, he suggested that Muharram to be the first. Why? He said, well, listen, in Dhul Hijjah, the month of Dhul Hijjah ended with a great worship, the Hajj. And he ended with fasting. People used to fast. And then Muharram was a great month. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about it. And it was mentioned in Quran, which is after the Hijjah. It was mentioned in Quran. It was one of the 4 haram months that Allah has mentioned in the Quran. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his companions that the best fasting after Ramadan is to fast in the month of Muharram. And Muharram, it has a special day in it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa ala nabiyyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam and his people from Fir'aun and his people. So they say they all agree about Muharram. So they finish a year with fasting and a great worship. They start the year also with fasting in Muharram, and there is a great worship because the fasting of which we're going to talk about in the next khutbah, but in order to make the consistency of the ideas, the fasting of Ashura was wajib during Rasulullah era. It was wajib. Because when he came to Medina and he found the Jews fasting that day, he asked them, why are you fasting these? They say, because that day Allah has saved Musa from Pharaoh. He said, Musa is more to us than to you. So he ordered all his companions to fast. It was a command by Rasulullah, so it was obligatory on them. So, because at that time, the Ramadan, being farq for fasting was not yet revealed to the Muslimin. So, this is how, a little bit about the Hijrah, a little bit about the starting date of the Hijrah. As I said, the committee of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu and his companions, they agreed to be in Muharram first, the beginning of the date of Islamic date, the beginning. So people are mixing up between the event of the Hijrah and the Hijri calendar. Mixed up. The Hijrah is different, and as I say, it was in Rabi' al-Awwal, so Umar ibn Khattab bring it back all the way to Muharram first, as to be the greatest event of, as it is the greatest event of Muslims, and they took the Hijrah to be the beginning of it, but he shifted it to Muharram. والله ورسوله أعلم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أسأل الله العظيم أن يفقهنا في ديننا. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى من السماوات ومن الأرض ومن ما شئت من شيء بعد ومن السماوات ومن الأرض ومن ما شاء ربنا من شيء بعد والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So Alhamdulillah, we covered everything almost in the first khutbah, but we need to talk about a little bit about the month of Muharram. As we talked, it's a very sacred month. It is a month that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us to make a lot of good deeds in it, that we are in it currently now. And the fasting in Muharram is a great good deed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward for it a lot. And especially I remind you and myself that inshallah next Monday is going to be the day of Ashura. So I really advise all of us to fast this day. It's not going to harm us, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when he asked about the fasting of the day of Ashura, he said, I wish أحتسب على الله أن يكفر به السنة الفاتحة. So I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive and remove all the sins for the past year. So this is only fasting for one day. And this is exactly what is the day of Ashura. That's how it is, the day of Ashura, not any other thing that we see or we hear. Okay. Ashura, the reason of it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved Musa ala nabiyana wa alayhi salatu wassalam and his people, Bani Israel, from Pharaoh and his soldiers. That's all. Any other explanation, it is not from Islam whatsoever. So, Ibn Abbas said, ما رأيت النبي يتحرى صوم يوم فضله على غيره إلا هذا اليوم يوم عاشوراء. Ibn Abbas said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wait for this day and look for it when it comes in order to fast. This is one. The Sahaba, companions, they used to fast this day, and they used to let their kids fast it. So, Al-Rubayya bint Mu'awwal, she said, we used to fast Yawm Ashura, and we used to let our kids, youngsters, to fast it. And when they start crying from hunger, we make a little toys from wool to them and let them play with it all day until the iftar time comes. And guess what? The mushrikeen also, the kuffar of Quraysh in Jahiliyyah, they were fasting that day. Because they believed that that day was a sacred day. And they were doing a lot of sins, and they feel that the Lord of the house will forgive them. Even the kuffar, they were fasting that day. So, we, alhamdulillah, Muslims, and I really wish that we don't let this opportunity pass us by. It's one day, it's Monday. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam always liked to make differentiations, to differentiate between the worships of Muslims and other Muslims if they will match, and non-Muslims if they will match. Like the Jews were fasting this day. Okay? So he wanted to differentiate, he wanted to be different than them. So he said, if I stayed alive until next year, I'm going to fast the 9th and the 10th. So how, in order to differentiate, be different than the Jews, they are used to fast the day 10th of Ashura. But unfortunately, Rasulullah died before the next year. So if anyone wants more of reward, he can fast the Sunday and Monday, inshallah. اللهم إني داعي فآمن. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم فقهنا في ديننا يا رب العالمين. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسرافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا اغفر لنا ولآبائنا ولأمهاتنا وإلى مشايخنا ومعلمينا وإلى كل من له حق من المسلمين علينا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين يا رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.